3 weeks ago, I posted a video about 10 signs you're in a toxic workplace, and it really struck a chord. I was absolutely blown away by the response. I did an analysis of the comments, and the number one request really was suggestions for more signs of a toxic workplace. So I thought I'd address that in today's video. You shared additional red flags that I didn't cover. So I thought I'd record this video based on what you've told me and the stories that you've shared. My name's Lucy, and on this channel, Lucy on Life, I share strategies to help you be happy in work and happy in life. If you haven't seen the original 10 signs video, I'll link to it down below. But for now, let's focus on 10 more signs of a toxic workplace. Sign 1, or sign 11, if you're following on from the previous video, is nepotism and favouritism. This came up repeatedly in the comments in different circumstances. One viewer specifically requested that I cover it. So this is for you. When promotions and opportunities and favourable comments repeatedly go to the same people, that's a toxic sign. Managers shouldn't be playing favourites. You might notice family members or friends of management getting the promotions, the special projects, the special treatment, and not necessarily with the qualifications that merit the special treatment. What makes this so toxic and damaging is the message that it sends to everybody that your qualifications and your experience don't matter. It's who you know and how well you know them that does matter. This destroys morale, and it drives high performers away because they realise that their hard work won't be rewarded. If you're working twice as hard as the boss's nephew, but it's the nephew that gets the promotion, then what you're seeing is favouritism and, in fact, nepotism in action. Sign 2, when workplace bullying goes unchecked. Several of you shared experiences of harassment and bullying and intimidation that management ignores and doesn't address. One commenter described being harassed daily with zero intervention. Toxic workplaces allow bullies to operate freely without checks and balances, either because they're high performers or because they're well connected. You might experience public humiliation, constant criticism, or deliberate exclusion, or intimidation tactics. The key toxic element is that when you report it, nothing changes. The bully faces no consequences, and you're left feeling unsafe, unsupported, and alone. In healthy workplaces, bullying behaviour and complaints about behaviour are addressed immediately. In toxic ones, you're told that's just how they are, it's just stress, or some other form of excuse for unacceptable behaviour. Sign 3 is where cliques and in-groups control everything. One comment to my previous video described this perfectly. There's an in-group and everyone else is excluded. This goes beyond normal day-to-day workplace friendships and relationships between colleagues. In toxic environments, these groups or cliques control access to information, they control decisions, they control pretty much everything. If you're not in the inner circle, you're left out of the opportunities, you're left out of the social events, you're left out of important decision making or knowing what's going on. Your ideas might get dismissed while the same ideas from members of the in-group get praised. This creates a hostile operating environment where your success depends not on your work and your experience and your delivery, but on who you are and whether you're in that club or not. And most of the time, membership of that club isn't based on merit. Sign 4, a win at all costs culture. Your comments mentioned workplaces and businesses where results matter more than people, ethics, or sustainability. This is exactly how one commenter described it. In these environments, you're expected to achieve and produce no matter the personal cost. You're expected to work through illness, you're expected to sacrifice family time, you're expected to cut corners, cut ethical corners, all for the sake of the numbers. The toxic part is that leadership celebrates this behaviour and punishes people who try to set boundaries or try to raise concerns about unsustainable or unethical practices. Burnout isn't a bug in this system, it's a feature. The organisation chews through talented people and replaces them rather than fixing the culture and retaining and developing talented staff. Sign 5, gaslighting and distortion of reality. Several comments described managers who deny things that they said or things that they did. And this behaviour forces you to question your own memory of events and your own sanity. You are told that your legitimate concerns are overreactions, that documented incidents never happened, or that you're too sensitive. This is psychological manipulation designed to make you doubt yourself rather than trust your instincts, and it's hugely damaging to your self-confidence. It also makes you less likely to speak up about other toxic behaviours. One commenter to my previous video described this happening in a restaurant setting where they were told things hadn't happened when they absolutely had. Sign 6, zero accountability. Many of you referred to the fact that in toxic environments, managers face no consequences for mistakes that they make and all of the blame is passed to their teams. Employees are punished for minor infractions where managers get away with all kinds of things. There's one rule for leadership and another rule for everyone else. Managers can miss deadlines, they can treat people poorly, they can make mistakes, but they never face any consequences. But if you're 5 minutes late or you make a small mistake, you've got a warning. This double standard breeds resentment and cynicism. It tells employees that the rules are there to punish people rather than to create fair working practices for everyone. Sign 7, HR protects the company and not the employees. Multiple viewers of my previous video mentioned this, where they'd gone to seek support from HR only to have it backfire. In some cases, HR had used their complaint against the individual complainer rather than supporting them. And this is an absolute red flag of a toxic workplace. When you report concerns, HR encourages you to drop them rather than dealing with them or investigating properly. HR seems to exist to protect the company, not provide a fair environment for everybody to work. This weaponisation of an HR team leaves employees with nowhere safe to turn, really. You realise that the department that is supposedly there to support you is doing exactly the opposite. Sign 8, constant restructuring and instability. This is where frequent reorganisations, ongoing change create an atmosphere of instability. While some change is, of course, normal, toxic workplaces will use restructures to hide lack of plan, lack of direction, mask underlying issues, or create an atmosphere that's so destabilising that it kind of crushes dissent. You never know if your role will exist next quarter, you never know which team you'll be on, or you don't know what you'll be working on. It's incredibly destabilising. This manufactured and unnecessary chaos is exhausting and prevents any real progress. It's hard to do good work when the ground is constantly shifting under your feet. Sign 9 is where impossible workloads are the norm. Several people commented that they felt they'd been set up to fail. They described unrealistic expectations from their bosses. People shared that workloads were completely unmanageable within normal working hours. But when you raise concerns, you're told that everybody else manages, and it must be your fault that you can't. The toxic element of this is how deliberate it is. These workloads aren't accidental. Exhausted employees simply don't have the energy to complain. Sign number 10 is where your gut tells you that something's wrong. And this was a theme that was implicit in so very many of your comments. The feeling of dread on a Sunday night, the anxiety walking into the building, the constant vigilance. Your body keeps the score, even when your mind is trying to rationalise or minimise the situation. If you constantly feel anxious, exhausted, or unwell when you think about work, that's your body trying to tell you that something's wrong. Trust that signal. Your gut often realises while your brain's still trying to catch up. I know I've experienced that myself. If something feels wrong, it probably is. These 10 additional signs come directly from the experiences that people watching my previous video shared in the comments. Combined with the original 10, that's 20 red flags to look out for. And if you're experiencing a number of these, you're not imagining things. Your workplace probably is toxic. Are there any other toxic workplace signs that I've missed that I should cover? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already watched the original 10 signs of a toxic workplace, then I'll link to it here. And I also created a video about what to do if your workplace is toxic but you can't leave. Thanks for watching, and remember, you deserve better than a toxic workplace. See you next time.